One of Us is a dialogue podcast profiling people in and around the Diocese of Wilmington. It also appears in writing in the print edition and online at thedialogue.org. The featured subject could be someone who works behind the scenes at your church or school, volunteers at the parish, or is a regular churchgoer or longtime parish member. Do you want to suggest a person to be profiled? My name is Joseph P. Owens, and I'm editor and general manager here at The Dialogue. Drop me an email at jowens@thedialogue.org or call 302-295-0695 if you have a suggestion for an interview subject. Gabriella Mainardi is a sophomore at St. Mark's High School and was nominated as a One of Us candidate by St. Mark's High School. So, Gabriella, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, so we'll just have, we'll start out with learning a little bit about you. So tell us, where did you grow up and how long have you been involved with your school and or parish?
So I grew up in North Wilmington in the Immaculate Heart of Mary parish.
Mm-hmm.
I attended school there for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I graduated and went to St. Mark's after. There I am involved with each Mass we do. I read, and I also am involved with clubs such as Blue Gold, Key Club, and dance team and student council.
Oh, another dancer. Okay.
And yeah.
So Key Club, that's what brings you here. We're here today
Yes.
at Marydale Retirement Center Marydale Retirement Residence, and the Key Club volunteers here. What, have you been doing that just this year, or?
Yes, so my friend had done it last year, and he really liked it, so
Okay.
I came this year, and so far we have donated lots of vital goods, such as paper towels and canned food, just anything that would be beneficial to the community. In this past Christmas, we had hand-delivered cards to every individual member of the community.
Right.
So our goal is to spread joy because as you get older, sometimes things just don't work out, and we're here to spread joy.
Yeah, well, I am certain that that's what you do because I've been here several times, and I know they like to have visitors, and they especially like to interact with young people. So thank you for doing that. So tell us about your school path and also your family.
So I grew up in a very open-minded family. We are Catholic. My whole family is Catholic.
Right.
But my parents had always allowed me to be whatever I want to be, believe in whatever faith. But I stuck with Catholicism. I have researched other faiths, and I think that this is the one that I connect the most to.
Mm-hmm.
I have grown up with it, so I may be a little biased, but I love the community that I grew up with at Immaculate Heart of Mary, and it brought me joy to be there, and that school set me up for my path at St. Mark's, where now I am aspiring to be a biochemist, but
Wow.
I'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
But St. Mark's is preparing me very well so far. I am taking chemistry this year, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Biology is one of my passions, and we had a great teacher, Miss Esbit, last year. She unfortunately retired, but she still tutors.
Retirement sounds good to me. So that's all good. Sounds like you're
Yes.
on a good path. Your family? Mm-hmm. You have siblings or?
Oh, yeah. I have a younger brother, Dominic. He attends IHM right now.
Okay.
And I have a dog named Thor.
Nice. That's cool. What kind of dog is Thor?
He is like a mutt. We think he has Rhodesian Ridgeback and some kind of hound in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Good,
adorable.
Good personality?
Yes.
That's fun. So we talk about spirituality and faith.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most important part of your spirituality, would you say?
The biggest thing for me is always believing in God.
Mm-hmm.
Because even, like, as a teenager, when you're younger, you follow what everyone tells you to do. But as you get older, I've noticed that I've either maybe not completely fallen out of faith, but I've been unsure. And I feel like that's something that isn't as talked about because it's kind of a taboo subject.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a natural thing that once it happens and you figure out, okay, I am here, it starts to lead you on a path of growth and a believing in God. And through my parish, I have learned so much, and I've had a really supportive community at St. Mark's, where this past summer we had gone on a retreat and we had a very exciting discussion on God. And I think talking more about these taboo subjects would bring more people closer to God. And I think that's very important to me.
It sounds like you've given it some good thought and,
I do.
and
I
prayer.
think about it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a good part of growth, as you said. What is it that keeps you going in your connection with this? It sounds like you have numerous connections with your school and your parish. What is it that keeps you coming back?
So I like to see the joy on people's faces when we serve them. I think it's something that everyone struggles with, serving others and being selfless, and I'm not completely selfless. A lot of people aren't, but I try to be in all circumstances.
Right.
And could you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry.
No, just your connection with your school and church.
Yeah. Yeah, just serving others in the various clubs that I participate in, that keeps me connected with others.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're still very young.
Mm-hmm.
If you could change one thing in your life with the church, what would it be?
I would say probably more representation of women in the church, because growing up in a primarily, it's a seemingly male-dominated area, but there is a group of nuns who helps run the church, at least when I was there.
Yeah.
And I think they don't get the acknowledgement that they deserve.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like, I remember hearing stories about women in the Bible, and they were often, like, frowned upon and stuff. But when you do more research into those women and you discuss the Bible with your, like, religion teachers, you learn more about women than you would have assumed their involvement in the church was.
I mean, there's a lot of a lot of women that are heroes in the Bible.
Yes.
So I think there's plenty to find. But I get your point. You want to see women more involved. They have become more involved in the church, but that's a legitimate concern. So if a non-church member comes to you and says, "Why should I be a Catholic?" what would you tell them?
I would say the sense of community is definitely something that keeps me going. I love how when we're at church and everyone is singing and you can see that people are happy to be there, that is the biggest thing that just warms my heart.
Right. Yep, that's true. And you sounds like you have a strong faith in your life. What does your faith mean to you?
My faith to me is probably to never stop believing, because when I find times that I either fail to pray or I stop my connections with God, I just feel very lost. And that awful feeling is something that can be prevented. And I think keeping that connection with God, whether you may be Catholic or any other religion, it's very important.
I think prayer life does a lot of that for you. Sounds like you have a pretty good prayer life, and
I try.
Yeah, that'll help. So we all try. Thank you for joining us, Gabriella.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining one of us, a profile on people who support the church in the Diocese of Wilmington. And don't forget to follow us online at thedialogue.org for your latest in Catholic news and features.